So there's the trend both in Oregon and throughout the country in rewarding and incentivizing green jobs. And I'm not sure exactly what's a green job. For some reason, lumber and forestry is not considered green in most cases. That's prohibitive. But other green jobs like putting in solar panels and electric vehicles, I guess, are green jobs. And do you think that's a good investment?
Well, I see you're wearing a green sweater today, so you must be one of these green job people. Otherwise, I have no idea what anyone's talking about with that. It's the same answer I would give with regard to innovation. The last thing you want is a politician with a bundle of money to give away. I mean, you would get a more mature response from a group of 6th graders who just had a bunch of donuts. There is no role for government in promoting whatever this green job thing is, because I don't really recognize what that is. And so it's just pure political pork barreling, and we should stop it.
So when the telecommunications and the phone system ran out and the electric grid needed to be built the first time, wasn't there government funding of that, or was that all private industry funded?
Most of the infrastructure is privately financed, and some decisions were made wisely and others weren't, and some people went bankrupt, and that's what happens in a market.
And also we had the robber baron class and the railroads and Insull and Chicago and the power grid and
Sam Insull did a lot of good things. I wouldn't get into that. But he did a lot of good things, and of course James J. Hill built a transcontinental railroad without any subsidies, and he was the only one who didn't go bankrupt. Cornelius Vanderbilt, before he became known as a quote robber baron, rose from dirt poor and was known widely in New York and New Jersey as a monopoly buster for challenging government-issued steamboat monopolies. He was a great innovator. So, look, it's not just that I'm picking on politicians. If you put me in office and said I was governor or mayor and or king for the day, and I could control all the levers of government and just allocate money wherever I wanted, etc., I would have no idea how to do that. I'm not necessarily any smarter than any of these other people. That's the problem. You don't want governments in charge of that. Otherwise, you get the state liquor store monopoly, you get the government school monopoly, you get the DMV monopoly, you get the Portland taxi cab cartel. Those are all anti-consumer. They're going to bring an inferior product at a higher cost.
Okay, and then finally, let's talk a little bit about the Columbia crossing, the bridge that we've been looking at for quite a while from Vancouver to Portland, and we've spent nearly $100 million so far, and it's gone to environmental studies and consultant studies and debate all this time. And I understand just recently they decided to throw their hands up and start over. What's the status? Can you tell us about it?
It's a classic case of the failure of central planning. Nothing gets happened because there are all these different governments with their fingers in it, and the easiest thing for people to do is veto anything going forward. So we wasted money, even though there's clearly a need for a new bridge. Not just a new bridge, several actually. It's interesting to me that Portland and Pittsburgh are similar cities, similar in size and demographics. And Pittsburgh is a city of rivers, and they have at least 27 bridges over rivers. And we have 8 or 9 over the Willamette, a couple over the Columbia, and that's it. We need probably 3 or 4 or 5 bridges over the Columbia, some which could be big and of interstate class, others could be little 2 or 4 laners. And we should allow markets to work, and for people to invest in those bridges. We should allow toll roads to take place. We should get rid of any idea of light rail over the river. We should have electronic tolling and variable pricing, higher price at the peak, lower price at the off-peak, all designed to ensure free flow conditions. And when you have free flow travel conditions on I-5 and 84 and 205 and the bridges, then you have a very inexpensive express bus infrastructure, essentially free to transit customers, paid for by all of the toll road users. That's a vision that would work.
So you
pricing,
see no
electronic tolling, and deregulated transit.
So you see no role then for light rail?
Light rail is a dinosaur. It's completely useless. It would cost over $200 million a mile to build light rail, take it to Vancouver, when Vancouverites, who are transit users, are all express bus users. They don't want a slow train that doesn't go very many places.
So I wonder, with the U.S. moving towards a more European model, and then, when you're in private industry and you have to compete, if you pick bad strategies and bring out products and services that the market refuses to use, and you lose money, you go out of business. Our competition, if it is the Europeans and the Chinese and the Koreans and or the Asians, but they're socialists or communists, are we going to suffer the penalties, or do we just devolve the American free market system to where we're all competing inefficiently and it doesn't matter?
Well, what we should do is to reduce the size of government at every level, to encourage a dynamic, vibrant market, encourage more immigration, which brings brain power and entrepreneurial spirit, and will outcompete all of the sluggish socialist and quasi-socialist economies elsewhere, and will be a beacon of light and freedom as we've been for centuries. And that's the direction we should go. Unfortunately, under both Obama and Bush, we have gone in the direction of ever-growing government, ever-growing intrusiveness into our private lives, and greater debt. It's not a sustainable vision.
Actually, it seems like the Europeans have gone more free market recently, certainly the Germans, the French.
Well, many of the former European or Soviet Union countries, Estonia, the Baltic countries, Latvia, have become very free market. Ireland has become very vigorous. There's now an international competition, essentially, to lower tax rates. And those countries who consistently are lowering tax rates on both individuals and especially businesses are the ones seeing the greatest economic growth. Tax rates do matter.
Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate you chatting with us, and we'll see what develops over the next 5 and 10 years and where transportation winds up and government's involvement.
Okay, thank you.